Although the Arizona Cardinals do not play until Monday, we're still keeping it on a Friday where we will react, give a preview, give a prediction to this Arizona Cardinals matchup going up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Here's how I see this matchup. I was so frustrated last week with the Cardinals. Their offense has all this talent. Marvin Harrison Jr., James Conner, Kyler Murray, Greg Dortch is a good fourth receiver. Zay Jones is coming back this week. Michael Wilson has been underutilized. And yet they have all these issues. Trey McBride is there as well. I didn't even mention him. The offensive line has been more than fine, although they're missing key pieces. But guess what? So is everyone. It's not an excuse. You got to figure it out. You got to adapt. You got to overcome. This feels like a do-or-die game for Drew Petzing. This feels like a make-or-break shot for Drew Petzing. Last week, I was out on the guy. And I'm willing to change opinions. And I'm willing to adapt. I'll give Drew Petzing one more opportunity. With all these weapons, in what is a must-win game to keep your season from truly derailing, let's see what Drew Petzing can cook up. Truly, the offensive coordinator, Drew Petzing, I don't understand. I don't know what he's doing. This offense, post Kyler Murray returning last year, was dynamic, and it had less talent. It had less weapons. And it was fun, and it was creative, and there was motion, and it was fun to watch. And this year, everything just looks more difficult. It's almost like adding Marvin Harrison Jr. to the mix made things worse, not better. Because not everyone is getting their fair share. It feels like Drew Petzing feels like he has to get Michael Wilson 3 touches and Marvin Harrison Jr. 4 touches and James Conner 18 touches overall and Trey McBride 2 or 3 touches. And he's toggling back and forth and it's ruining this offense. Drew Petzing's got to figure it out. And if that means go to the hot hand and Michael Wilson doesn't get a catch, so be it. I'm not worried about guys' statistics. I'm not worried about how guys feel after the game. We'll deal with that after the game. Go win it first. Go put this offense through Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride. Those are the only 2 guys that you should be worried about catching balls on a week-in, week-out basis. Zay Jones is cool. Michael Wilson is fun. Greg Dortch is frisky. James Conner works hard. I'm not worried about them. Get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, and the rest of the offense will open up naturally. Don't feel like you got to force the ball to everyone. And secondly, this Jim Harbaugh team could push you around. This Jim Harbaugh team, led by Justin Herbert, Jim Harbaugh, regardless of how much talent they have this year, Keenan Allen's not there anymore, Mike Williams isn't there anymore, they will push you around. Because teams emulate their head coach. And this Chargers team is tough. This Chargers team will bite a kneecap off Dan Campbell style. You cannot allow yourself to get pushed around. You got to turn this game into a track meet. You got to turn this game into a high-scoring affair. Because you have the weapons advantage. They have the toughness advantage. Can you assert your level of talent over their toughness and be able to score more points than them? Can you get into a quarterback battle where Justin Herbert has to keep up with Kyler Murray in passing yards and in touchdowns and to a little bit of an extent, running the football? That's what you need to do. You cannot turn this into a slugfest. You cannot turn this into the James Conner game. Because the Chargers will out James Conner you and out toughness you with J.K. Dobbins and their offensive line that is superbly gifted with Rashawn Slater on one side and Joe Alt on the other. You got to be prepared to do that. You cannot allow yourself to get punished at the point of attack. And next, these pass rushers got to show up. It's been bad to start the season. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. I would assume the Arizona Cardinals have less than 10 sacks this year. That's how bad it's been for the Arizona Cardinals defense as a whole in terms of sacks and in terms of defense for this team as I frantically look it up. 11 sacks on the season through 6 games. That is pitiful. And with this elite offense, I guess I should say this elite offensive line and a very good quarterback in Justin Herbert, you do not want to give him time to carve up your defense, which is, to put it in polite terms, lackluster. These defensive backs aren't great. These safeties are okay. Budda Baker has not been awesome this year, especially recently. Pass rushers got to step up and help put them in a little bit more of 3rd and longs or 3rd and 15s. And then lastly, I can't even say this because it hasn't happened yet. You got to somehow stay consistent. You got to win this game, and you got to put together a string of games where you show both offensively and defensively there is some semblance of consistency. This is no longer even a Kyler Murray question at this point. Kyler needs to stay consistent as well. But it's the whole team. This is not just an indictment on Kyler Murray. Marvin Harrison Jr. has got to get open more. We've got to expect more from him. I'm not blaming Drew Petzing as much for that. Harrison's got to be better. McBride has got to get the ball. James Conner has got to punish people when he gets the opportunity to do so. And we need to convert in the red zone. Field goals with Chad Ryland is not going to win you this game. Touchdowns will. Don't allow yourself to get bullied by this Jim Harbaugh team that is tough and physical and will push you around. It's kind of a make or break point in the Cardinals season. Last couple weeks, I spoke with more excitement. I was happy. I thought this team could have the ability to potentially pull an upset over the Packers, although I picked the Packers at the end of the day. I expected it to be frisky. You cannot have another blowout, especially in your home stadium. You have 2 burn-the-tape games. 2 of them. Good teams get 1. You already have 2, and it's week 7. How are you going to respond? You had all these eyes looking at you. You had all this attention. You had all these eyes in Arizona. You had the most attended red and white scrimmage in Cardinals history at the beginning of the season. There was all this excitement. And you've lost a lot of it. You could still gain back some of that fan base by going on a run, by being consistent, and not having everyone think, oh, it's same old Cardinals. But it's up to you to come out with some fire and some urgency. I'm looking at you, Jonathan Gannon. I'm looking at you, Kyler Murray. And I'm looking at you, potentially even more so, Drew Petzing. You have to win this fan base back. Stop worrying about how many fans of the other teams are in your building. Win games first. And then we can talk about that. Win games first, and then we'll assess the fan base. But at some point, you got to put it all together. And we are no closer to finding out if Kyler Murray is the franchise quarterback of this team than we were at the beginning of the season. And part of that has to do with coaching. Part of that has to do with Kyler. This team needs to come out with fire. Because Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert and the Chargers, who will push you around, do not struggle with that. Because they're not a bad team. Right now, the Cardinals are a bad team. And they struggled to be consistent, and they've struggled to come out with some fire and some urgency. Win back some of the fan base. Win back some of the media. And it starts on Monday night against the Chargers. Be consistent, Drew Petzing. Take some shots downfield. Kyler Murray. Play a consistent style of football and run it and pass it. Both as well as the other. And Jonathan Gannon, don't be so bleeping stoic on the sidelines. You get down early, light a fire underneath someone's ass. That's what I need to see from the Cardinals. Light a fire under this team. Because if you don't, you're in danger of being the most irrelevant team in Phoenix. The most irrelevant team in Arizona. And that's a place where you don't want to be year in and year out. Unfortunately, because I haven't seen it yet, I'll take the Chargers to win this game in what'll probably be a bleep show and a muck it up game. The Cardinals just do some things not very well, like rushing the passer, like defense, and I just feel like the Chargers could potentially eat that up. And with inconsistent play calling, and what I'm going to get in the Chargers, I know their identity. I don't know the Cardinals' identity. I have to lean Chargers here until the Cardinals show me that they can be consistent. I'll take the Chargers in this game 21-13. And the Cardinals struggle again. But I expect them to figure it out. And they have to starting this week.